behind-the-scenes machinations from Rich Paul to prevent other teams from drafting Bronny, saying Rich Paul's calling teams and saying, don't take Bronny James. If you take him, he's going to Australia. So he has a plan and he has a place. Brew, your reaction.
Yeah, I checked around a little bit. From what I'm told, there were 4 teams outside of the Lakers that had legitimate interest in taking Bronny. The Clippers, the Timberwolves, which not that bad of a situation for him. You know, I know they drafted a young point guard too before him, but the Suns, but they wanted it because of LeBron, and the Raptors. All right, Toronto. Rich did talk to or text, call, however it was done, but let these teams know this. And again, I don't have a problem at all with this. This is what agents do. Mm-hmm. Ron Holland, who went 5th to the Pistons, didn't even work out with them. Alex Sarr, who went 2nd to Washington, a lot of people thought he would go 1st. Mm-hmm. For the longest, he was the number 1 guy in the mock drafts. Yeah. He refused to work out for Atlanta. Now, I don't think Alex Sarr called Atlanta and said, hey, his agent did, Bill Duffy. All right, so this is what agents do. All right, so to act like Rich Paul was doing something crazy, something ridiculous, no, this is what a lot of agents do. He was trying to get his client in the best situation he could, and so he flexed his muscle. And it's like I said yesterday, Nick, some of these agents, when you have a significant amount of players, and Rich has about 40, then you have power. And these teams have to deal with you because they may want some of your other guys. Mm-hmm. So I thought, Rich, that's no problem whatsoever with what he did.
You jotted something down.
I kind of like Minnesota.
No, it would have been interesting.
So I do too. So let me, if I may, cap what I've said here with this additional caveat. I happen to believe that LeBron, the father, has earned the benefit of the doubt throughout being a public father since he was 19 years old, in that he seems to not only be like an involved, invested dad, but really want what's best for his kids. I also think Rich Paul, the agent, has earned the benefit of the doubt that they are constantly, even though through bad media coverage or angered front office, doing what they think is best for their clients.
That's right.
If there were a better basketball situation, and it's like, no, we're not doing it because this isn't what the dad wants, that, to me, would be objectionable, to be clear. Mm-hmm. And so I think LeBron has earned the benefit of the doubt to say he wouldn't do that to his kid, and Rich has earned the benefit of the doubt to say he wouldn't do that to one of his clients.
I agree with that.
But so I think when people see this, that comes to mind, and I think that's a legitimate discussion to have. I just don't think there's any reason to believe that is actually what happened. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, because there is, Anthony Edwards is not 6'1", but undersized a bit for how he plays. Like, there's defense. Like, some of that does seem like that could be fun and interesting.
And they drafted a point guard, and then they still have Mike Conley. So, it's not like he would have stepped in and been in the rotation. And also the thing most people aren't considering, because we haven't really, Bronny kind of has talked around it. Maybe Bronny, I do want to play with that. If I got the chance, if I have a choice, I do want to play with my dad.
Of course.
I know I can learn from him and it'll make me a better player. So maybe there's that too. And he was like, if you guys can get me to the Lakers, let's do it.
Okay. Coming up next are the Chargers. I brought up Bronny James and he said I wouldn't be mad at the team if we took him and he was still available at 55. See,
that's being nice. That's AD being nice to his play nephew.
What do you think of that?
I didn't say it.
I know, but you clearly are thinking something.
I don't know. Davis told me he was really impressed with the way he was able to break down the defense, get into the teeth of it, and be able to set up teammates for success. I think AD was just, you're right, being nice.
Okay.
But it's the idea that like other teams ahead of him were thinking about taking him in the 40s. I don't know if that's
Well, didn't we discuss that someone might take him as like a trade chip?
Yeah, but that seems disingenuous. So, maybe.
But go ahead.
All right, so Bronny's contributions this year look like what, bro?
I'd be shocked if he makes any significant contributions to the Lakers. What I see with Bronny is playing a lot of G League basketball. They're not going to sign they don't have to sign a G League contract. They're going to get a legitimate NBA contract, but he still can play in the G League, and he needs to. Yeah. He needs to play. All right, it can't just be working out with coaches, shooting drills, things like that. So I think he'll be in the G League a lot. I think when he plays with the Lakers, first action and maybe all of his action this year will be in blowouts. And the first time he's on the court with LeBron will be some type of Lakers blowout win where they put Bronny out there. It's a great moment.
How about blowout loss?
Well, my guess is LeBron, but LeBron might be on the bench. They might rest him.
But honestly, a blowout loss is probably a blowout loss is on the board.
Well, I just wonder if it's a blowout loss, you might get your starters out and not one. And it won't be a feel good of a moment if they're down 35 to Denver.
But that's why
and they
it's
just
weird.
getting him in.
That's why it's weird.
Why?
Because if the Lakers are down 25 with 8 minutes to go.
LeBron's already out of the game in real life.
So then you're putting Bronny in?
Yeah.
Sure, maybe.
Okay, but
I'm
do you
talking about
want
them
Bronny
playing together.
No, he was saying that not Bronny's first NBA
I thought you were
action.
saying Bronny's
He was
the
saying
first
his
time
first action with LeBron on the court.
LeBron.
That doesn't happen. My guess is his first action in the league will not be with LeBron on the court. I think he would probably play in one of those situations.
Okay,
but go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't see him making a significant contribution this year. Again, I'd be stunned if he does.
So I'm going to throw some numbers up at you.
Oh.
And you tell me if you think he could do this. Because Lakers rookies, we can now, it wasn't a second-round pick, it was first-round pick. But last year at number 17, they took a guy who, with no controversy, you know what I mean? There was no nepotism involved. Here's what he did with the Lakers last year. Do we think Bronny can match those numbers? I think maybe. That's what they got from the 17th pick of the draft. 21 games, 5 minutes a game, 1 point, half a rebound, half an assist, 22% from the field, 13% from three, which is to remind everyone that the NBA draft is very different than the NFL draft, which is top 5 picks, typically 3 of them are awesome, and then from 6 through 30, you are not quite picking names out of the hat, but it's very hard to get a contributor. I think his real contribution, because I agree with you, should spend most of his time in G League, needs to play, needs to work. He shot well at the combine, needs to have probably a quicker release. There's a lot of things, and the thing working against him more than anything is his height. So figuring out how to navigate an NBA, game at a shade under 6'2" is going to take real time and work. And I think the best case scenario is he is a rotation player in 3 years. I think that's the best case scenario. After his third year, you know what I mean? I think that's the case for almost all these second runners. But Wilds, where I think he could contribute is what his impact of being around has on LeBron. LeBron is in year 22. This team is not right now anywhere, in my opinion, close to a legitimate. Of LeBron's 22 seasons, this team probably ranks 18th in championship odds of all the teams he's ever been on. He has the scoring record. He's accomplished everything. Does having his son around change some of LeBron's kind of most annoying or non-productive tendencies? Will LeBron be more locked in to the new coach, J.J. Redick's huddle? Because I'm setting an example for my kid who's right there.
That's interesting.
Will LeBron be less likely?
Locked in on defense?
Not just locked in on defense, but more likely to, when someone else screws up on defense, or if LeBron screws up on defense, either way, it's usually the same kind of that reaction. Less likely to do that because my kid is here.
No, he's been pretty successful behaving the way
he has been successful. LeBron knows Bronny doesn't have the margin of error he did. LeBron, and so I don't know, man. I do work with my son in a position that he would not have gotten initially without me saying I want to work with my son. There are certain things I do on that podcast that are different than if he weren't there because I know, you know what I mean? Like he's there. And these are not a perfect comparison, I understand, but it's just, so I'm fascinated by that. I also am fascinated by if he were to be, they had the injuries they had last year and all of a sudden he is a part of the rotation for a few days. The defensive piece of it, I think, in those scenarios is a fascinating case study of what LeBron can channel. Like, are we going to see, if Bronny's out there for an undermanned Lakers team, LeBron being the greatest help defender we've seen from him in a decade? Because he's trying. Like, I'm not being a smart aleck here. I think those are all real things because we've never seen something like this.
Finally, Bob Myers talked about the behind-the-scenes